What's going on? Welcome to the Creator Factor, where we dive deep into the vibe of the creator culture, entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about strategies to help you thrive as a business minded content creator. And I am the host who loves you the most, Ozeal. And today I'm chatting with my new friend, who is a video marketing queen behind the brand verticalvideomastery.com. In just 3 years, y'all. She's built an audience over 500,000 followers, but also has generated over 1 million in her business through vertical video marketing. And she's here to break it down, to share with us the secrets of her content building success and how, of course, you as a content creator can implement these proven video marketing strategies to help transform your online digital presence. She's a video marketing strategist. She's a consultant, and she's a podcast host of the Keenya Kelly podcast. Ladies and gents, let's welcome to the show none other than Keenya Kelly in the house. Keenya, how you doing?
I'm doing good. That's a great intro.
Hey,
Thank you.
rightfully so. You know, we connected. Shout out to our boy, Rob Sabis out in U
Mhm.
Screen for connecting us. And I was sharing with you that I was following your content way before we got the introduction. So when
Crazy.
Rob was like, yo, you should really meet this creator, Keenya. And I was like, what? I said, I think I follow her. And sure enough, I checked my TikTok and I found that you've been crushing. You've been crushing TikTok. I remember the reason why I followed you, because you were doing it back then on a major level.
Mhm.
And then of course, you're still doing your thing and everything you're doing with vertical video mastery, which we're going to talk about in a bit. Before we dig into that video marketing strategy and everything that you've been doing there, Keenya, let's go ahead and kick it off. Share with us that first time. I'm curious to know when you realized and discovered like this whole video marketing potential had impact on building a brand and identity online. What was
Yeah.
that moment?
So it actually was. I used to have this big hair show when I lived in Virginia, and it was called Return of the Curls. And it was a convention
Good
style
name.
event for for curly haired women, and that was going okay. But what started happening was people loved how I thought and like how I designed things, and I
Hmm.
didn't want to continue on with what I was doing with the trade show because it's hard work. And I saw people using the app Periscope when that first came out, and they were talking and teaching and making money online teaching people, and I was watching this like I got a gift. Like, how can I get on and figure out what is going on here? So I just kind of got on Periscope, and I wasn't selling anything because I was working in corporate America at Sprint corporate,
Hmm.
and I just kept seeing people make six figures over and over and over again. And I said, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to get started. I don't need, like, if I get started today, in 5 years, I'm going to be in some different, stage of my life.
And what year was this, Keenya, more or less?
2016, I think.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so you got into the video. So when did
Mhm,
you discover it? Was there a moment? Actually, let's go back a little bit. This is always
mhm.
curious. I'm always curious to ask creators. You know, when was that moment when you discovered like you were a creator? Have you been naturally like a creative person, or this something you stumbled upon later throughout the years?
Yeah, so as a creative person, I knew that I was that well, my mom and them, of course, they knew something was in me because when I was a
Mhm.
kid, I would buy candy for 5 cents and sell it for 25.
Oh,
So I
you were that
always
kid.
had this like, yeah, that thing. And when I went to
Yeah.
college, I became an RA and we had to decorate our bulletin boards. And
Mm.
I kept winning all these contests with how I saw things. And one year we were doing like a decorating contest for Halloween. And I
Mhm.
was like, we're decorating this entire hallway as the seven deadly sins. And like every wall
Mm.
had black trash bags. I mean, it was
Dope.
so next level. The fire
Dope.
marshal got called in. And he was
Wow.
like, you can keep the directions on this wall, but you cannot put them on those walls. This is a fire hazard. But everybody would stop on my floor and go, whoa. And that's kind of when I knew that like I had this thing that I just couldn't tame it because it's just how I saw the world or how I saw
Mm.
things.
You had a eye for design and just
Yeah.
creating an experience, really, if you think
Hmm.
about it, aesthetically. Dope. Okay, I love
Hmm.
that. Seven Deadly Sins. Look at that.
It was wild.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Sounds dope. You've built a really successful, impressive audience, as I mentioned, over 500K followers on TikTok. For our listeners, I know we're going to be digging into the video form, short form video content. For our listeners who are like in their early stages, specifically in the TikTok space, can you share with us a bit? Because I feel like it's changed. A lot of social media
Mhm.
people, strategists, been saying, "Hey, TikTok isn't popping as it used to." Um, Give us an update. I mean, what are some of the things that we can do now to kind of create an effective presence there, as far as, and how has that strategy evolved since the first time you started?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first got on, it was actually the beginning of 2020. I'm a
Okay.
religious person, so I heard God tell me to get on TikTok, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard God say. But I did it, and then everything. I was like, I started realizing something was happening with the platform.
Hmm.
And so back in 2020, you had millions of people who were stuck at home. We're dealing with COVID, and you're looking for something fun to do. So everybody was on the app watching content. So the creators that were on the app would accelerate so quickly in their growth and all that because people didn't know how to create, they knew how to watch. And so it was quite the time for 2021 and 22 where you were able to build massive audiences and then make a lot of money
Yeah.
from the platform. And since then, of course, everybody's back to work. Instagram Reels has come out, YouTube Shorts has come out, Facebook Reels has come out. And people started finding themselves being frustrated with not getting paid per views on their content, mainly because they weren't selling anything. So I feel like there's a lot of things that's happened with TikTok. One, TikTok has done exactly what all platforms do. They force people to the platform and they get you this hype and they make you feel like, oh my God, this is gonna be forever. And so you get to creating content there. Very similar to what Facebook did with business pages. We built these massive pages and then they said, okay, run ads to it. And we're like, what? So the same thing kind of happened with TikTok. And so people felt like TikTok, with the way that it was operating 4 years ago, that it was going to be forever. And that's no platform is like that. They're all like, they all make money when we run ads. So if a person starts on TikTok today, they cannot expect that all of a sudden the same type of growth that people experienced in 2020 is what they're going to experience today. No, they still have to show up. You still got to create an audience, you still have to create content consistently. The upside of TikTok is that the behavior of a person to engage is, I think, is like 10,000 times higher than it is on any social platform.
Mm.
So, for example, if I post the same video on TikTok and on Instagram Reels, if they both get the same amount of views, I'm going to gain way more followers and way more comments and engagement and all that on a TikTok video than I am on an Instagram video. Now, I'm going to make more money on an Instagram video in terms of selling my products and services than I
Okay.
am on a TikTok video, because our behavior to purchase is like known on Instagram. We're buying on Instagram. On TikTok, our behavior is to engage, and we are slowly becoming ones that are purchasing, which is why now people are saying, yeah, I got this from TikTok and this from TikTok and this from TikTok. It used to be, oh, I got this from Instagram. Now it is becoming, oh, I got this from TikTok.
Interesting. So yeah, because I wasn't asking. I think you answered that question. I was asking, why do you feel TikTok gets the better engagement
Mhm.
versus Instagram, which is more buyer intent, but the or buyer oriented. But that makes sense because in TikTok, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm hearing it correctly, is it's more of like, if I come across, like, I think I came across your content, and I'm pretty sure I was searching TikTok strategies and whatnot. And then I'm more like, if you say something that's fire, like, oh man, that was a bar. That's something I could really, like, implement in my business. I'm quicker to probably hit that follow and then just go on
Mhm.
to the next. Is that
Yes.
pretty much the psychology? It's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the behavior is
Mm,
just something
yeah.
second to
Makes
none
sense.
on TikTok. It's just different.
Hmm.
I don't really know exactly why that is the way that it is, but that is just it's just what I've seen it over and over again with my own stuff.
So now with TikTok, let's get it, also talk about strategies. Obviously, we all know that being consistent on social media, but TikTok specifically, Kenya, is it? I know there was a school of thought in the beginning where it was like, yo, you got to really go heavy, like,
Yeah.
3 to 5. Is volume still a strategy for TikTok, or does it matter? Is just consistency? Like, I'm curious to know if that's changed or evolved since the kind of school of thought of posting and going heavy on volume on there
Mhm.
to grow. Has that changed?
Yeah, it has definitely changed,
Okay.
because one, you've got way more people that are creating content on the platform,
Yeah.
and so behavior of people today is people are dealing with with burnout of like watching so much content. So people are being very selective even more now of what they're watching and what they're engaging with. And so what I am experiencing is that if I focus on a really great piece of quality content, doesn't mean a high-end camera, but I'm just intentional about
Mm.
the content that I'm putting out, I'm going to find myself getting, the same amount of views and follows and all that type of stuff on my account. Now, don't get me wrong. If I post multiple times a day, then of course it's going to help me to reach more people or what have you. But with the way that TikTok content is happening today is that if you post a video on TikTok, you're not really going to see its full potential for about 60 days. Okay.
Mm.
Because TikTok, the company, is focused so heavily on TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop, the videos that are longer than 1 minute and horizontal videos. So, like, when I post something today, I'm not expecting that it's gonna like reach its potential today. I know that in 60 days, when I see that I've got 2,000 notifications, I know it's
Yeah.
coming from that content that I posted 2 months ago. And so every time I'm creating content, I know that this is it's like YouTube. You're gonna get success from the video initially, but then you're looking for the long game with YouTube. When
Right.
someone is searching, how can they find you? That's kind of what is happening over on TikTok now as well. And then, but some people who don't really understand it or really spend time on the platform are like, well, I'm not getting as much as I was getting initially. And that's because they're not actually looking at what's happening 2 months down the line.
So for our business-minded creators who are looking to develop a short form video marketing strategy, there's Reels, and then of course Facebook has their own vertical, and then we got YouTube Shorts, all the platforms, right? Do you still feel that TikTok is still the place to be, and for us to experiment and be on and start creating content to build that brand awareness and ultimately, generate some sales and leads?
Yeah, 100%.
That's the spot. Okay.
Because you still got at least 80% of creators that are not creating content on TikTok. They're just
Yeah.
still not or whatever. And so because of that, there's quite the market
Okay.
for what is happening there. Like I've seen accounts like podcasters grow their podcast channel like crazy because they do the regular video podcast, and they're taking the hottest clips and they're putting them over on TikTok.
Right.
And then TikTok is driving it back to their podcast, their YouTube channels, and all that. So it's like, I think that people are sleeping still on TikTok because they haven't understood how TikTok has evolved and evolving, and then who is also on the platform consuming content. And so because of people aren't necessarily creating as much as they were, those of us that continue to create are still crushing it because people are coming in, going out, expecting this fast viral moment. And it's like, no, this is social media. It's always been about the long game.
Do you recommend for somebody who's building a personal brand of being a thought leader in a specific, industry? Let's say myself, right, a podcast consultant. Is a strategy on TikTok create the content that's going to build that thought leadership, and I just talk nothing but podcast consulting and coaching, or is it more, a variety of interests? Can I post other things if I'm going to a coffee shop or whatnot? Like, I'm curious to know, like, how uniformed the TikTok strategy has to be versus other platforms where they always say you should kind of niche it down, do more narrow focus versus broad. What's your
No, well,
take on that?
you still have to be niche because it's
Okay.
like when we look at social media, the reason why a person follows an account is because they saw something, they saw a consistency within the content on the platform, and they go,
Right.
I'm going to follow that. So if I'm posting about me and marketing today, and then tomorrow it's about my cat, the next day it's about, oh, I'm single, I'm moving to Houston, then they're like, is this really why I wanted to follow her? So
Yeah.
that's why I have two accounts on TikTok. I have the main one where I focus on this, and this, and that's what makes me money. And then I have this one over here where I'm talking about the Love is Blind reunion. I'm talking about I'm in Houston, I'm shopping. Now I can
Okay.
be to be more of the Keenya brand, like the person over there. Whereas
Mm.
over here, I'm the consultant.
You're curating the content, right, and putting them in
Yeah.
different
So the other one gives
buckets.
me like a creative outlet because work is
I
work.
love.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
sometimes I want to talk about, I just found this brand new thing. Oh my God, menopause. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
want to talk about I had this terrible date or whatever. And I can do that on the other account.
Okay, that's a question. That's great. You answered the question because I know a lot of creators that are watching and listening. That's a question that I get even as a
Mhm.
coach is like, hey, can I go broad? Because some thought leaders are saying that the niches really don't matter. I could go broad and people are gonna like me for me. But what you're saying, and I agree, is that still having a specialty, having that special sauce that you can put online where people are attracted to and know you as that person. I think still is where the value is at, and where you could really kind of leverage these platforms. I love that you said that. Okay, so what about
Yeah. But
Go,
also
give it to me.
in that,
Yeah.
so let's just say like we have the Keenya Kelly brand. Like obviously Keenya is my regular name and Keenya Kelly is my business name. So on my Keenya Kelly content where I'm talking about business,
Hmm.
I can intertwine Kenya in it. I can talk about like as an entrepreneur, this is and this. I'm going here, and as I'm looking for an apartment in Houston, I have to have a space for my studio. This is where so that way it's still
I
kind
see
of
what you're saying.
sorry. That way it's still kind of like
Include other aspects,
it,
right?
yeah, for sure. It still can like be me and who I am and what it is that I'm doing. But it's not good ready with me to go on a date. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are some of the common mistakes that you've seen when you see people get on TikTok? And I'm asking this again for our audience, or getting in there and they're kind of just trying to build it, because I see a lot of stuff and it's just like, man, it's all over the place. It needs to be tweaked a little bit. And I'm one of them. I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm kind of dropping the ball on. Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing now, like in 2024, that you see like, oh man, if they could just tweak this, or the video editing or something like that? Is there anything that you can kind of share that you see that's common amongst all creators that are trying to build a brand on TikTok?
Um, what would I say? I would say first off, you got to figure out who you are and who
Mm,
you want to show up as.
mm,
Because if everybody's trying to be Gary V or Alex Hermosi or Alex Earl, then you're not actually giving people the reason to follow you. Because when you are creating, you're creating as you, as yourself or whatever, and you have to decide what is the aspect of you that people are going to experience. That's like with my second account on TikTok, I said, what am I going to talk about here? And I
mm,
talk about different things, right? But I'm showing up as the version of me that has been in therapy for 10 years.
mm,
I'm showing up as me, the more polished kind of version of me, so to speak. I'm still being myself, but I'm not out here like just all over the place. You know what I mean? So it's really important that you're going like, okay, who am I and what do I want to display to the world? I feel like sometimes people just start creating content, and then if something blows up, they feel like they got to stick with that thing that blew up.
mm.
And then a year down the line, they're frustrated because their content is not the totality of who they are, and now they've got to go and be this thing because that's what they put themselves as. So I think that creators need to go, okay, here's all the things that I could talk about or create content about. In the long run, where do I want to take this? If I know in the long run I want to be picked up by Tarte, which is the beauty brand, I want to be on one of those expensive trips, then I have to show up in a way where people want to follow me in my account, where a brand like Tarte or Fenty or whomever would want to pay me as an influencer. So I don't think people are thinking about who they want to show up as and then what their long game is, like what's their ultimate goal. And so they just end up doing all this random stuff and wonder why they're not getting the results that they want.
That landed with me because I was having a conversation with a fellow creator friend of mine, and we're talking about how like the importance of getting right with yourself is
Mm-hmm.
so instrumental in building a personal brand and thought leadership or whatever. Because I feel like a lot of the times, and I've struggled with this too before, just to be completely transparent, where I'm like, man, why am I not like, why am I, I'm in my head too much? Why am I not
Mm-hmm.
creating the content that I already know? But what's happening? And I've noticed that whenever I'm going through some turbulence in my personal life, like I
Mm-hmm.
just, it's like I think it's important for creators to kind of constantly revisit how do I want to show up, what I want to be known for, and then who am I going to serve, and get very, very clear on that, because taking that mindful approach can really help you as a creator
Mm-hmm.
be able to create good quality, valuable content that's freeing, that's not tied into expectations, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just doing you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I agree with you. Like when like we all like life is life and life is gonna happen. There's always gonna be stuff that
Right.
happens.
Right.
And I was just telling my my membership group about like, when my content is flopping, it's like is it the algorithm or is it me? And I'm like, well,
Mm.
most times it's me. It's like, what is actually going on in my life? Am I
Mhm.
really busy? Am I really this? Am I really that? Like I had surgery at the end of last year, and the content that I created, that I scheduled, didn't do as well. And it was because I was so anxious about having surgery. I was also anxious about all the work I needed to get done before
Yeah.
going into surgery versus the content I created in February. I was like so full of life, and everybody's like, oh my God, I love your energy. And it's doing really well because I'm in a better, different headspace. And so I was telling my community, I'm like, don't film content on the days when you don't feel good. Like, you just can't, because
Mm.
people can feel that. And so when you do feel good, shoot as much as you can. That's why I'm always putting ideas in my phone, so that way in those moments when I have that level of energy, I can
Mhm.
shoot certain things, and then I can schedule it when the time is right.
That's great advice. Great advice. I'm glad you shared that. In regards to, this vertical video marketing strategy approach, a little bit on that. I
Mhm.
want to ask your opinion, because being a podcaster that I'm so used to as a consumer, consuming a lot of long form content, curious to know, in this vertical, fast paced digital age that we're living in, vertical seems to be the king right now. I'm curious to know, is conversation still the queen? Is long form still going to be a thing that we're going to continue consuming, or do you feel like the vertical video is going to be sticking around for quite some time because of the short attention span that we're having? What's your take on that?
So we definitely have a real big problem with attention spans. That's
That's real.
hands
Yeah.
down. That's nothing to do with video, has to
Yeah.
do with people.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of all the different things that are constantly going on. And then
Yeah.
when we all got on social media, when it all kind of started, so I think that's a problem in general. I don't think that long form video is going anywhere. I don't think the horizontal video is going anywhere.
Hmm.
Because for a couple reasons. One, it's just always been the king. It's not going anywhere. For two, we are watching all of the short platforms say post more long form content. So for the last 6 months, TikTok has been saying post videos longer than a minute and you'll get paid through our creator program, which
That's
is how
right.
people are getting paid. Then they started saying, like 3 or 4 months ago, post videos that are horizontal. It'll teach you how to do horizontal content. And if you post a horizontal video the right way, a person can click a button and it'll take it full screen. Very similar to like a YouTube video. And so then I think Instagram released a notification last week that said that everybody's going to start getting where you can post 3-minute Instagram reels. So all of that, like, right now you can upload up to 30 minutes on TikTok now. And then
Oh, I didn't know
Instagram
that.
is
Okay.
saying, you can shoot 3-minute reels, but you could upload a 20-minute video, and a video is technically a reel. So everything's kind of already going long form. And I was telling everybody that I felt like that the reason why, and I don't know this, obviously I work for TikTok, but I was like, why would TikTok focus on horizontal video? And I'm like, yes, horizontal in our phones, but I don't think it's about our phones, because when we look at our phones, we do everything through vertical. Like, everything is set up for vertical. And I'm like, it's not phones. I think it's for television.
Hmm.
Because when you look at the TikTok app on television, or YouTube, you go to YouTube app on television, everything's horizontal, it fits your screen, all the things. If you go to the TikTok app on your TV, it's horizontal. I don't want to watch horizontal videos like this. I'm trying to figure out what's on screen when I'm on my TV. But if we start having people posting horizontal videos on TikTok and they go on their TV, now you're able to watch TikTok on TV full screen. And I'm like, to me, it makes sense from a business standpoint. It makes sense for like desktop computers and laptop computers for TikTok to be in horizontal mode. And so, and I also think that because so many people were creating short videos, that it really hurt the social media platforms financially. Because if everybody's shooting through these 15-second videos, where are they making money on ads? How are they able to put placement, within videos for ads? But if they're strongly encouraging people to post longer content, guess now you can put ads in so many different places within a video. The company running the ads, make more money. TikTok or whatever platforms make more money, and then everybody's happy. Because I'm like, if I was Instagram and TikTok, how would I be feeling? Like, I'm missing money on ads because there's so many things I cannot do because everything's short.
That's aligned, Kenya, with something Another conversation I was having. I'm constantly having these conversations with these creators, my favorite people, my people about that. And you just basically went there regarding horizontal and TV. So check
Mhm.
this out. Here's my prediction. My prediction, maybe sooner than later, we're going to see TikTok and Instagram, and I think we're seeing it with YouTube now whenever you watch it on Apple TV. But I believe that creators specifically, I think a huge opportunity. And again, we heard it, right? Just treat your creator brand as a media. And I think that's going to hold truth moving forward. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like it's going to be an opportunity for creators to build shows. Like let's say just I'm going to just hypothetically speaking on TikTok, and then where TikTok is like, all right, we're going to license or we're going to go ahead and have these creators create shows, podcast shows,
Mhm.
period. We can put it on TikTok. And now y'all can get paid. Y'all can do like a paid membership and y'all start creating your
Mhm.
own. So basically, we become the Netflix of our own brand.
Yep. That's
Come
like
on.
when they have that they have the feature called TikTok series, and it's actually currently under it's under
What?
construction. It's been out for a while. And so it's kind of like initially the
Oh,
way we looked at it as you could film content and you could put it behind a paywall, and the most people can pay for it was like $189. I think that it's not just about the digital courses or whatever. I think this is more about what you're saying here with shows, where
mhm,
people are going to be able to pay for a show, but more
mhm,
so like a subscription, like a
mhm,
Netflix thing. I think
mhm.
that creators are going to start becoming the actual Hollywood
That's it.
actors and actresses.
That's
Because if
it.
we look at some of these people, and we're watching and we're like, wow, you deserve to
Yeah.
be on TV. And some
Yeah.
of their production, I think that that is the direction that we are headed in for 100%.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I was like thinking, I think I was just like a crazy, like just projecting. Like, I think that's what I'm
Mhm.
seeing. And what you just said right there, and I didn't know
Mhm.
there was a series. I think that's where we're going. So, creators,
Mhm.
this is time. Start your shows. Start your show.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. All right. Let's switch it up. You got me excited over here, King. I'm excited. Let's talk a little bit about the journey of building a business online. I mean, you've been doing this for a minute, and one of the things about building an online business is that it comes with a lot of learning curves. Especially as a
Mhm.
creative person. Can you share with us like a significant challenge that you face growing your Kenya brand and doing everything that you're doing with vertical video mastery? Like, what was the biggest challenge you feel like was tough in building that business, being a creator and trying to operate a business?
Yeah, so there's honestly been a bunch of different things. So when I first started out trying to build a business, I was like fresh off of like a terrible divorce. And so it's like you're dealing with all of your like insecurities
Tough.
of like all of that death of a thing. And then to try to put yourself out online to be judged by people who knew you, knew him, knew y'all, whatever. That was like the ultimate, the biggest thing. Cause it was like here I went from person building a business, in person to like becoming this online personality that people could judge or whatever. So that was the biggest thing. But then the next thing was I was used to having a job. I didn't know anything about like showing up, building a personal brand, messaging, choosing a niche, building a website. I didn't know anything about funnels, funnel marketing, a sales funnel, like email marketing, automation, like all of those like aspects of building a business. And then you've got now you've got to sell stuff. Now you've got to do the taxes and you've got to do fulfillment. You've got to deal with people and their personalities and their expectations and all of that stuff. And so then on top of that, when I started creating content on TikTok, becoming this influencer that I didn't know was happening and going like, "Oh, so I have to learn how to be a production person? Like now I can't just shoot content the way that I would shoot it. Now I've got to become the model, the script writer, the editor, all the things and it's big money when you get paid with brands, but you're like they have an expectation of what this outcome is going to be. And that's a lot. So you have your business and trying to be a creator. Those are two totally different things. You got to go into two totally different minds when you're doing all that. And as a single person doing it, it's like, I don't have a husband doing all this stuff back here. It's like me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so all that.
What's challenging you right now?
Um, what is challenging me right now? I would say getting the business to 1 million a year. We made 1 million, we made 2 millions, but getting the business to 1 million a year. And what I mean by that, not just by revenue, but like
Mm,
when you are making X, let's just say 700 or whatever, let's just say five. If you're making 500,000, there's one mindset, there's one level of experience, there's one set of products, services, whatever that got you to 500,000. To double that requires another level of skill, another level of understanding with taxes and hiring the right people. And it's just a whole nother level of getting yourself from this phase of life in your
mhm.
business to the next phase while, navigating like a lot of people don't really know that when a woman starts to go through perimenopause, menopause, all these things are changing in her brain and she's trying to figure out
Yeah.
what is going on. You know what I mean? So you're navigating your personal self and your business self, all the same. And with me moving to Houston, Texas, it's like one of these things got to be focused on. And it's like, okay, today this is what we're focused on. Tomorrow we'll do something else.
When we talk about focus, you when I was going down your content, you were, I mean, I could tell you're prolific, a lot of courses, and we'll make sure that we link it up, y'all. KenyaKelly.com, and of course, um, the verticalvideomastery.com as well. But I could tell, I was like, oh man, she has a lot of like good products. She has like a menu of products, like a lot of digital
Mhm.
course, etc. Like, what would you say, like in 2024, for a creator who's looking to build, not scale, but build a a menu of their own products? Do you feel like, where do you feel like the market going? Do you still feel like digital courses is the way to go? Test marketing that it paid community. Where do you feel like a creator should kind of start with in regards to generating some revenue?
I would say more of a paid community would be
Yeah,
smarter.
come on.
Because when you talk about building a course, there's all these things you got to learn about all that. There's the systems, the processes, the automation, the film.
Yeah.
There's all those things you got to learn about all that. Versus, most creators have learned about Patreon. They've learned about memberships with YouTube. And it's easier to turn, here's what you've been doing for free and creating something next level and getting people to pay you $10. It's easier to do something like that. So I would start with more of a membership. But I do think that even as a creator starting a membership, that you've got to get some level of training and understanding of
Yeah.
what people are looking for from paying a service or you on a regular basis, because you've got to show up. Like you've got to
Mhm.
set what they can expect when they're going to be paying, and then how you're delivering that privately to them. And then, of course, you've got to learn how to market that, how to consistently market that, do customer service, and keep everybody, quote unquote, happy on the inside of that. And then from there, you will probably find that people want something that can be more self-paced. And then you can learn the art of creating digital courses.
What are you finding for creators? I'm a big, and I'm glad you said, pay community, because I'm a community guy. Like
Mhm,
that's, I, last past over 10 years, I've been building community through in-person events, live events,
mhm.
and virtually, et cetera. And it's just been, I'm a big believer in community. And I always say that, the creators are one of the most collaborative, supportive community, members out there. Um, do you see a trend of creators now seeking leaders to be able to have that support and accountability and dig deeper versus, the then, digital courses? Because I feel like, the completion rate wasn't there, right? We all see the stats and the data. Nobody was complete. I'm one of them too. There was like a few that
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, man, it's too long. So again, attention span, right? But do you
Mhm.
find it? So my question to you is like, do you find that now more than ever, creators should be seeking community as an opportunity to grow their creator brand, to get embedded in the culture, to learn together? I feel like there's a lot of benefits there. I want you to see if you can kind of share a little bit more about what you've seen as a community builder and what you have learned doing your paid community.
So I think that creators need to there's a couple opportunities. One, I think that paying like a small fee on a monthly basis into a community is going to be very crucial, because when you're
Yeah,
in a community, yes, you have the person that's running the community to help you, but you also have the whole
that's right.
community. Like I paid for $20,000 to be in somebody's mastermind for a year. And when everybody graduated, they all started this Slack channel, and every single brilliant mind is now in this Slack channel
Mhm.
for free, helping each other.
Priceless. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, so now we're like, good God, all of what we're
Yeah.
getting in there, you know? But at the same time that you have a little community, like a smaller community paying monthly, at some point in time, you're going to have to pay somebody to talk to you one-on-one. You're going to pay somebody to help
Yeah.
you build what you need, because if you're in a community, you're going to get a lot of information, which is good, but it can also be bad. You
Mhm.
know, you really need more strategic things to you that
Mhm.
and if you're going from creator to business owner, there's all this stuff you got to learn about building a business, and you're going to have a lot of questions. And so at some point in time, I think it's going to be beneficial to actually hire a consultant or coach or someone who can actually walk with you through what you're building. So the smaller community first, the small monthly work community,
Yeah.
and then a coach or consultant.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. I mean, it's seasons, right? I mean, I feel like the
Mm-hmm.
season for the aspiring creator who wants to learn the game and wants to learn different things and
Mm-hmm.
of running a creator-led business. I do feel like the community is the way to go, especially if you can't technically afford a high price, premium, one-on-one coaching. But you'll get to the
Correct.
point where you can get the education, the right education, get
Mm-hmm.
connected with the right people, your people, and then grow that. You scale that, and the next thing you know, you're making money. Now you can go in to get that specialist, get that one-on-one consultant, hire him or
Exactly.
her, do it that way. That's what I'm hearing. I love that. I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
the way to go. That's the phase. Love it. Love, love, love. Um, looking forward, getting back to the whole video marketing, where do you see, the future? We talked about the short attention span and
Mm-hmm.
how video is going to play a major role. One of the things that I've been seeing, even as an audio only podcaster, is seeing video play an instrumental role in the podcasting space now more than
Mm-hmm.
ever, where YouTube's saying, look, we want to mess with podcasting now, and everybody and their mama starting a podcast. But it's beautiful, even as an OG, to see the fact that video is being podcasters are embracing video as a way to build brand and showcase a different face of a layer of the brand and what they're trying to share with the world. I'm curious to know, like, what is your take on just like video marketing, and like what's exciting you these days in regards to like where we're going with the marketing, as a creator? What's exciting you? What do you see coming forward?
Well, one thing that I'm loving lately is I'm loving seeing you've got content creators and celebrities coming together.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, what's the guy's name? Kai, what's his last name? The YouTuber, the streamer, the Twitch guy, the young black guy.
Yes, 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 yes. I don't know his last name. I
Yeah,
know exactly what you're talking
Kai
about. He's
something,
like streaming.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
got him, this huge YouTuber and streamer,
yeah,
and all the celebrities are realizing that like, here's how they've always run their business or doing what they're
yeah.
doing. And they're realizing, wait a minute, there's something that we had just did not know. And so Nicki Minaj launches her new album, and then she does a collaboration with him in his house, in his
Mm-hmm.
studio.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Kanye did something with him or tried to do something with him. Tyler, I don't know a whole lot of people. I'm so Jesus, but but like there's all these people that are now. Oh, was it Keith Lee? We all know and
Oh
love Keith
yeah,
Lee
yeah,
on
yeah.
TikTok. He just did a collab with Cardi B.
Oh, I
You
didn't know
know,
that. I
like
didn't know
going on
that.
like yeah. So he like this burger joint, and he in LA, and she's talked about him a little bit. So they just did a
He's the food guy,
collab,
right? He does the food. He does the
a food
food
tour.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow,
but he's talking about
wow,
these
wow.
burgers, and so apparently, what's her name? Cardi B did on her like live stream show talking about she loves burgers and whatever with she's talking about Keith Lee or whatever. So somehow
Mhm.
they got to collab together, and she's talking, and you're like, why is Cardi on Keith's channel? And then Keith shows up, and they do a taste test
Mm.
of this burger joint, and they're just talking, and it's just a whole thing. Then they did a thing on ramen. So you're seeing like what we normally would never see. A celebrity, they're here with that, and content creators are over here, and actors and actresses. And now it's like it has become like we are one,
Yeah,
right? We're
yeah.
seeing way more content creators in movies than
That's right.
we've ever seen before. And so I think that the collision of those two worlds has happened, and it's gonna happen even the more, so I think that's a huge thing that I'm loving, that is happening. I'm gonna love watching what happens in terms of like the metaverse and all the things that are going on there. I'm still not a person in that whole world of things, but I think that there's a lot that's going to start happening there. But I am really, really excited to see where TikTok is going with this, with the series thing and creators
Yeah.
having their own shows. That makes me very excited for them, and then how the Hollywood will be forced to come into that whole world and how that's going to collide.
Yeah, definitely a lot of opportunity for creators to kind
Mhm.
of get into that space. Yeah, even looking at like even a boxing fan, even seeing which I used to hate on for. I was like, I was just because I was a purist. But see, I mean, a creator, Jake Paul, now
Mhm.
fighting Mike
Mike Tyson.
Tyson on a Netflix. I'm like, what? What kind of world we living in? Who would have? I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we're like mind boggled. I mean, I could just only imagine how Jake Paul, because Jake Paul, like, man, he said a long time ago, man, it would be a dream to find Mike Tyson. Here's a creator, YouTuber, who has now, has orchestrated this
Yeah.
marketing strategy where he got into the boxing space and he did a brilliant job, love or hate him, but he's gonna fight Mike Tyson. I'm like, that's crazy. And I
Great.
think Mr. Beast just said he just signed a deal with Amazon Prime to do his own show. I don't know if you heard about
100%.
that. I
Yes,
mean,
uh-huh.
it's happening. It's happening. Wow.
It's already
Yeah.
happening. It's just we're like, we can either wait for it to happen for us or we can start going in that direction.
So build your brand creators, get on TikTok, get like Kenya,
Yeah.
learn the thing,
But it's
learn the
happening
thing,
on
get out
TikTok
there.
first. I mean, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen faster on
Well, that's
TikTok than
right.
it is on any of the other ones.
I agree because I feel like TikTok gave birth. I was there. They did a list of some of the musicians that you had never heard of got their start on TikTok,
Yes.
and it's insane. There was a whole list, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. Oh, she,
Mhm.
and these were all TikTokers. Um,
Mhm.
so I feel like okay, it's there. So let's go, y'all. TikTok. Let's
Mhm.
let's get in there. Let's get in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Verticalvideomastery.com. Make sure we get linked up on that. All right. Before I let you go, Kenya, I do have a question to ask you. I always ask every guest.
Mhm.
Um, is that if there's a creator factor that every creator should learn
Mm.
or master, what would that factor be?
Like a gift, you mean?
Yeah. Gift. Like what's something that we should all learn and master?
Um, I think we should all learn to master the art of like the Taylor Swift effect. I've been like diving into her recently, and I said, oh, it kind of clicked for me. So a lot of times what happens with creators is we were small, so we were always talking to our people, and then the bigger we got, the less time we were spending talking to people, and so we're like we become this quote unquote celebrity, and we're like untouchable. We're not actually being human.
Mm.
And what we have seen over the years when Taylor Swift was first getting going, that like people would send her things and invite her to stuff, and she would show up places. She showed up to somebody's like bridal shower, and they were like, what in the world? Taylor Swift is at my bridal shower. And she started showing up in all these different spaces and places in ways that people would never even ever dream. And so now you've got the biggest celebrity of music artists, like of all right now, is Taylor Swift, right? And it's not because her music is the greatest. It's not because her shows are the greatest when you see them. No, Beyonce's show was beyond when you look at the showman and what happened in her show. But Beyonce's very untouchable. Taylor Swift, it feels very
That's a good
touchable,
point.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and then the
Yeah.
other thing that I learned about her was that, like, I forgot that, like, all her music is like this was her in her teens, in her early 20s, writing music. And so the Taylor Swift is a fully grown woman doing fully grown woman things, but her music is touching you in a way where someone who is 7 and someone who is 57 can connect to. So
Yeah.
her music, not that it's a bad thing, but her music doesn't feel very sexual or whatever, because her audience is all the people, and so she's mastered this connection to her community, and she stayed with them in some type of way. So I think that if a creator really wants to continue to grow and do all the things, figuring out how to continue to grow but still be touchable in in a way that is safe for them, but also where it's like you will not believe what Johnson just did. He did this, this, and this, and you're just like, who did what, where, what? You know what I mean? It just yeah.
The Taylor Swift effect.
Mm-hmm.
KenyaKelly.com. Make sure you follow her on TikTok. Of course, we're going to link it up.
Yeah.
Her YouTube channel, which is fire. You're going to get a lot of tips and strategies on that. A lot of good stuff there. And of course, the podcast, the Keenya
Mhm.
Kelly podcast. Kenya, it's been a little slice of heaven. And I'm so honored and glad that you no longer in San Diego. Now you're in H Town.
Oh,
You're H Town
yeah.
bound
Yes.
soon. And we get to kind of hang out and and collaborate. So I'm looking forward to just having you here, part of the city,
Me
and
too.
seeing what you do here for the creators here in H-Town as well. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, I
Really
can't wait.
enjoyed
I'm
it.
excited. Good show. Good show.
Thank you very much. All right, y'all. Peace.